Would you like to go next, Jay? Tell us
Yeah.
about yourself.
Yeah, I grew up in Mumbai. Middle class values, quite sheltered, and dad founded Kotak, and I've been privileged to watch him and the business grow, and that's been a great learning experience for me. I went to the US for my studies, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with my life professionally, where I
When
wanted
did
to go.
Kotak become big in your own journey?
Uh,
Were you in school?
It depends on big in terms of the size of the business or our perception of it from.
Not your perception of it, but our perception of it. When did that happen?
I think we became a large capital markets and non-bank franchise in the early 2000s.
It's about 20 years ago?
Yes, I would say that. And the bank came later. Kotak was founded in the late 80s, and the bank happened in the early 2000s, around 2001, 2002. So the capital markets business, the securities business, investment banking was much more mature. But we only became a big B2C brand where normal people had debit cards, credit cards, bank accounts in the late 2000s. But I did not perceive or understand how large the business had become really till I came back from undergrad in the US in 2011, 2012. Even then, I never actually worked at Kotak till I came back from my MBA. And I wasn't really sure that, this was my calling. But when I was taking that decision, 3 weeks before I was going to graduate, I was evaluating, hey, do I want to stay in the US? It's a pretty comfortable life. Work at a private equity fund or an investment bank or a tech company there. Or do I want to come back? And my father actually called me, and rare that he would do something like this. And he said, I really do think you should come back for India, not as much necessarily for Kotak, because the opportunity and the way this country is changing is a once in a century or more. If you think over the last 5 or 6 centuries, this has only happened 6 or 7 times. And that I kind of took that plunge, and I'm glad I did.
Where did you go to college?
I went to undergrad at...
Like him, tell us where you went to school, when you went out.
I went to school at Cathedral and John Connon School in Mumbai, and then went to college to Columbia in New York. Came back, worked for a few years, mostly consulting, investment banking, not at Kotak. And then went to business school. I did my MBA at Harvard in Boston. I graduated 2017. And since then, I've been in India. And I actually, after MBA, joined Kotak. Spent a couple of years doing capital markets, which was the original kind of strength and original business of the Kotak Group. And then I've moved into consumer and B2C ever since.
I remember meeting up with you in Boston your last 2-3 months of your Harvard this thing, and I remember having that breakfast conversation with you, and you were still debating on India or not India.
Yeah.
And glad your dad convinced you, or
you were on the same page.
Yeah,
you were on the same page. I'm glad. It's best decision, not just for me, but for anybody my generation. And I'm seeing a lot of
people coming back.
Kotak Bank is not. So I can't take a remote credit for that. I'll only take credit for a little bit of Kotak 811 inside Kotak Bank. Kotak Bank is not.
Will you elaborate on that a little bit? Because we'd like to know what Jay is doing at 811.
Okay.
What is 811?
811 stands for, interestingly, given the news that happened yesterday, 8th of November, which was the date of demonetization, where we as a traditional / legacy bank started a immediate online account opening, which was never allowed before that. Along with demonetization, a set of new interesting and very progressive regulation came that allowed bank accounts to be opened for the first time without a wet signature. So Kotak started a product called Kotak 811 that basically allowed that to happen, and it saw extremely high uptake, because it turns out that a lot of India was, and to a lesser extent still is, not banked or underbanked. And that has been a journey. And recently, seeing the scale of that opportunity, we've in a management segregation, not a legal entity segregation, very important because regulatory businesses, I have to be, carved it out as a bank-in-bank management segregation. And we think of ourselves a little more as a digital bank / fintech, but fully regulated business.
That's nice. And you took that it's 811, but you call it 811.
We call it, so it's Kotak 811.
And 911, they couldn't have called it 911, otherwise it would have been the emergency number in America, right?
It turns out that most people in India have no concept of what 911
Tell
is.
us what 811 does broadly, like if you had to categorize it in a bucket.
You can open a bank account in 3 minutes, sitting in your living room on your phone. It's a partial KYC account, and you get a virtual debit card. You can start transacting immediately. So element 1 of the proposition is that it's fully, straight through. We do around 6 lakh accounts a month. So give or take 20,000 odd a day, which is considerable. So 811 now contributes 70 to 75% of the total accounts that Kotak opens. And that's just the power of digital and why I'm in Bangalore so much. The second element of the value proposition is that we are an unbundled offering. Think of it like how Indigo disrupted Jet Airways. We are zero balance. We are the only large bank in India to offer a bank account with zero minimum balance, which is very compelling for most of India that does not have 10,000 rupees.
So would you summarize and say it is banking focused on the young in a fast, efficient, near zero cost manner?
Yes, I guess that's a good way to summarize it.
The one thing I have to add,
especially for a very underbanked nation.
Yeah, the one thing I have to add about Jay is before the story about him meeting his now-to-be wife and all of that, the very first time I met Jay is when I had gone to the Kotak Bank office where Jay was sitting and pitched their family a product of ours which would manage a part of their money. And this was a few years before that. And I will say this about Jay, right? A lot of people look at people who are popular personalities, kids, and make up preconceived notions in their mind. But Jay was refreshingly different. He is not somebody's son alone, but Jay on his own is extremely impressive. For the first, I don't know how many times we met, he would never even mention his dad once or, that he's the son of this person, he owns this bank and all of that. And I hope personally, because we have a relationship and, whatever, I hope that one day when that opportunity comes, to lead Kotak Bank. But I can't think of somebody who has more, natural ability. He's so calm, stable, has so many facets which would serve well in leading an institution of that size.
Yep, couldn't agree with you, Mom.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, but Kotak
now he's going to...
Humility as well, I missed that.
No, I think he's going to pull the regulator and the regulation.
No. It's not just about regulation. It's a large business. We are 26% shareholder.
Yeah.
There are 74 other. And leadership and future has to be decided in the context of what is best for all. I am committed in what I'm doing right now. And of course, by virtue of being the largest shareholder, we are aligned with the future of the business. But for me, I don't see that as a necessary.
So do you think he's not taking compliments well either, like you asked me?
No, I think he's taking it better than you, I must say, because you have this aversion where you rejected blanket. But he's trying to incorporate another facet.
He's adding to it.
No, I don't agree with a lot of your compliments because I do think that...
this is the best compliment of them all. The fact that you're not agreeing with my compliment.
It's having a head start from being born in what was... When I was much younger, we were not very affluent, but still, privileged parents that value your education, being able to send you to an American school and not have to worry about scholarship, not having to worry about paying education loans. And that kind of sets off a positive cycle that definitely kind of is an unfair advantage, so to speak, that I've had.
Hi, I'm Nikhil Kamath. I'd love to know what you thought of the episode. Comment, like, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.